As most lifers out there know, we've been researching and thinking seriously about purchasing a Class B.
The Coachman Beyond, the Pleasureway, Encore, even the Winnebago Travado that you can only get on a ProMaster. At least the most important things are items that can't be added after we buy the RV. I reviewed articles, did internet searches, I read discussions on RV forums. Both of us might go in the morning, and both of us might go in the evening, and during the day we're somewhere else so we can find public toilets.
As a matter of fact, we've put down earnest money to buy one from Embassy RV. Now, a little thing happened on the way to our RV dreams. The last couple of years have been difficult. Our friends and family have gotten ill. We know people whose relatives have sadly passed away. All of us have lived in a lockdown environment for much of this time, and now there are multiple supply chain delays that make it difficult to even consider a van build. Winnebago has finally admitted to a 3 to 12 month delay before assemblers start their work on orders that have already been placed. And Pleasureway has stopped accepting customer-sold orders from their dealer network due to supply chain issues. The RV being designed for us is built on a Ford Transit chassis, and Ford has been one of the hardest hit by supply chain issues. Ships are sitting in the ocean unable to dock, their supplies just waiting and waiting for who knows how long. Supplies that do get through sit waiting even more and are not getting where they need to go because of a shortage of transport. Drivers are in high demand but low supply, and without them, nothing gets moved across the country. This has made Ford cancel orders made by Embassy at least twice that I know of, and we're once again in a state of limbo as to when an order will be honored by Ford. Needless to say, we've been frustrated at these delays, but compared to the devastating issues faced by so many, people out of work, a loss of income, dealing with the effects of the virus, unable to be with family or friends, putting their lives on hold, we have nothing to complain about. Our situation, even with the difficulties and heartache we've had to face in the last year and a half, pales in comparison. We've been fortunate. None of us have gotten sick. As a matter of fact, being in lockdown actually helped me not get cold/flu symptoms that I always seem to get every year. I still have a job, I can work from home, and we don't have to rush to get the RV since technically I don't retire for a couple of years. It would be nice to be able to take local trips and a longer vacation during the year in an RV, but it isn't vital. We've traveled all our lives without an RV, so waiting isn't a big deal. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of advantages in getting the RV. We could take our dog with us wherever we go, since she seems to travel well in the RV, at least much better than in a car. We could just get up and go without worrying about making reservations at hotels or having to find one that accepts pets, and we wouldn't have to deal with ever-changing plane reservations that seem to be the norm. Do you know, we actually had 6 schedule changes to a recent plane flight between the time we bought the tickets and the actual flight. And another flight we had, it was entirely canceled 3 hours before the flight was to take off. We had to scramble to find another airline at a completely different airport that had a seat. Crazy. Forged delays are inconvenient, and to tell you the truth, we wonder if we have the patience to wait. So we've really had to sit down and consider what options we may have. We came up with 4 possibilities. There are a lot of great RVs out there, not just from Embassy. We've looked at Advanced RV, and they are fully customized, but they are also expensive and way out of our price range. There's Storyteller Overland, and by all accounts, a very good build to be had. But they build on Mercedes, which we don't want. Now they do have a model on a transit chassis, just came out, but it seems to be unavailable from any dealership I've found. They must be having just as many issues as Embassy in that regard. Also, to be honest, I'm not really a fan of the layout or the color. I find that color too garish and not stealth at all, even with the one they call a stealth model. Pleasureway has a good build, but they are just too underpowered for our needs. You can only run the AC for a couple of hours at best, and that is just not enough for the dog, much less surviving the night in hot and humid weather. Might be alright for Canada, but not much south of there, to be sure. Unfortunately, I am underwhelmed by what Winnebago has to offer. Not a big fan of their layouts, and their prices are well beyond what their build quality is worth. If they up their game or charge a lot less for their RVs, that would be a different matter. Now, Coachman Beyond prices aren't horrible for what you get, so that would be one possibility. But after thinking so long about the quality of an Embassy, we just aren't sure that's the way to go. At least for now, we consider new RV prices too high for what they're offering, mostly because of current demand. When prices become more reasonable, options may become available. So considering another brand isn't in the cards for us. That brings us to the second option, buying used. We've looked. Regrettably, used RVs are overpriced in the current market. We know of at least 2 cases where people have sold their older RV for the same, if not a little more, than what they bought it for. Something I take is almost unheard of in the RV industry. There are indications that things are starting to slow down and prices may fall in the future, but they're going to have to fall quite a bit since their prices have inflated so much in the last year. And until that happens, used is out too. Needless to say, we've been discouraged of late because of the delays. I won't lie, it's been a hard pill to swallow. But like I said before, compared to what others are going through, this isn't really a hardship. We do have the option of just letting go of the idea of an RV. We've traveled all our lives using other means of transportation, and there's no reason why we couldn't continue to do so in future. That said, we'd lose all those advantages like traveling conveniently with the dog, the spontaneity the RV affords us, not to mention the places we could go that wouldn't be possible if traveling by air. Even if we drove our car, we don't tend to take all the side roads and slow down to really see the sights, especially if we're having to plan for the next place to sleep for the night. We just don't. And this brings us to what a lot of you, I'm sure, have figured out already, our final decision: to wait patiently for things to settle down. The supply issues will at some point resolve themselves, and in my opinion, solving these issues will make our economy stronger. The current situation has brought up a lot of issues with the theory of just-in-time manufacturing and inventory, where goods are received from suppliers only as they are needed. This reduced inventory and holding costs, but look where it's got us now. We can now see the flaws in that idea. Sure, it's going to take a while and it isn't an easy road, but I look at it like investing. Those that panic when stock prices go down sell and lose their investments, but those that keep their head and invest wisely make out in profits. Waiting for the RV is like that. We can wait until we see those profits come around. The spontaneity, the convenience, traveling to places we would never visit otherwise. And that's what RV travel is all about. Be seeing you.